Good evening. The Mayor Sadiq Khan has given in to pressure from his own party and will allow more people to claim financial help for the expansion of the ULEZ zone. The scheme allows Londoners a grant of £2,000 if they scrap their older, polluting vehicles. It will soon be widened to include all families on child benefits and some larger businesses. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
A perfectly good, serviceable vehicle. Sadly, within the hour, we're driving into the scrapyard.
Neil Blackwell shared his van's final journey on social media. His South London animal rescue charity sent it to the scrapyard yesterday. Little did he know the Mayor was about to change the ULEZ scrappage scheme rules, but it wouldn't have made any difference.
We could not and cannot, like most other animal rescue charities, afford to replace two vehicles. Even with £5,000 from the scrappage scheme, we're still looking at £15,000.
Under the new rules, charities can now claim a grant for scrapping 3 vehicles instead of 1. So can small businesses with up to 50 employees. It was capped at 10 employees. And all families on child benefit can now apply for a £2,000 grant to scrap a car. The Mayor's decision to amend the £110 million scrappage scheme follows growing pressure from some Labour MPs in London and Labour council leaders.
The Labour MPs, Labour councils, want the ULEZ to be expanded, but they want the government to give us support. The announcement today is without a penny of support from the government. We're listening, the government isn't.
Have you been forced into changing the scrappage scheme because of the pressure?
I'm quite clear. As a mayor, I'll always listen to Londoners.
From August the 29th, the ULEZ will cover all of Greater London. Drivers who fall foul of the cameras because their cars or vans fail to meet modern emissions rules will be charged £12.50 a day. It's provoked widespread opposition. Some Londoners have taken the law into their own hands. Around 200 of the new cameras have been vandalised.
Today's changes to the scrappage scheme are unlikely to silence demands from the Mayor's political opponents for the ULEZ extension to be postponed or scrapped. And he's still facing a challenge in the High Court from 4 London boroughs seeking to have it declared unlawful.
The Tory-run authorities argue the cost of living crisis makes the Mayor's policy ill-timed.
Sadiq says that he is very conscious about people's well-being. The amount of letters, conversations I've had with older people that are saying that this is going to impact their well-being because they're not going to be able to get to doctor's appointments, not going to be able to see their families, they're not going to be able to get out to do their shopping.
For now, the Mayor has no plans to put more money into the scrappage scheme, and it's still not available to drivers from beyond the Greater London boundary. Simon Harris, ITV News, Bexley.
A man has been jailed for 32 years for the murder of a 20-year-old from Plaistow in August 2021. Dion Brisport from Hackney shot Otis Sarkis in a drive-by shooting in Upton Park. He died in hospital 2 days later. Another man who was involved hasn't been sentenced yet. The England cricket team's bus was held up on the way to Lord's for the Test match against Ireland when Just Stop Oil protesters blocked roads out of the city. The climate activists marched slowly along this road in Kensington, causing long traffic jams. The England cricketer Johnny Bairstow posted on his Instagram story, "If we're a bit late, it's not our fault," but the match did go ahead on time. Next tonight, a ban on e-scooters on trains started today because of fears of overheating batteries. But it is a rule, not a law, and as Antoine Allen reports, London Fire Brigade would like to go further.
This explosive e-scooter fire in a kitchen could have been even worse if it had ignited on a congested train. After safety concerns today, 6 rail companies banned e-scooters, e-unicycles, e-skateboards and hoverboards from their stations and trains. This year alone, London Fire Brigade have attended 13 fires caused by e-scooters.
E-scooters can be dangerous because some of them are unpredictable. People need to make sure they use correct chargers, they're buying from reputable companies. We've had incidents in the past, in the last few years, involving e-scooters on the train networks, which have resulted in them catching fire. They can prove very problematic and dangerous to members of the public.
The rail network ban does not include e-bikes, despite their use of the same lithium batteries found in other e-mobility vehicles. Each day there are a lot of different electric vehicles on London's roads, so which ones are causing you the most problems?
So we've seen an increase in fires involving e-bikes. We've gone to 53 e-bike fires this year alone, which is 4 times as many as e-scooters.
Despite not being legal to ride on public roads, privately owned electric mobility vehicles are in a thriving industry, with many scooters costing thousands of pounds. But this repair shop in Islington says fires are happening because customers and suppliers are cutting costs. Patrick, why are some e-bikes and e-scooters catching fire?
It's because people buying cheaply from unreliable sources. What I want to point out is that e-scooters and e-bikes are extremely safe if used properly. From what I've seen from the videos in the internet, these e-bikes or these e-scooters are usually homemade or cheap knockoffs.
For some, e-mobility vehicles are the answer to improving London's air quality. Patrick says the industry needs better regulation to support its growth.
They cost roughly 1p per mile to run, and I think they really need it in terms of combating the cost of living crisis, the problems with the future of our planet in terms of the pollution.
For now, the future of e-scooters is not on London's transport network. E-mobility vehicles are already banned on TfL services. Today's railway ban makes it harder for e-commuters to get around. Antoine Allen, ITV News.
Now it is 2 weeks since an unprecedented apology from the water companies and a promise to spend £10 billion on tackling sewage spills into our waterways. That money, of course, will go on our water bills in the years to come. But Clean Water campaigners say they've seen little evidence that anything is set to change. Carolyn Sims spent the day on the banks of the River Roding, where sewage discharges happen regularly.
Well, this is where it came out in this pipe here.
On a stretch of the River Roding, Paul Powsland discovered a dirty secret. He was mapping the third largest river in London as part of his work to protect it when he filmed this: raw sewage and domestic waste pouring straight into the water.
The Roding has the second most sewage put into it in terms of number of hours after the Thames in London, so it has a huge sewage problem.
It was 2 weeks ago that water companies, including Thames Water, announced that together they'd invest £10 billion to modernise sewers and reduce spills of overflowing sewage into waterways like these.
We need water companies to work with local rivers trusts, river guardians, to actually come up with a practical plan of what they intend to do with that money.
A mile downriver at Wanstead Park, volunteers are carrying out restoration work. The impacts of climate change are the theme of this year's London Rivers Week.
If our rivers don't work and work effectively, you may have increased issues around flooding, you have increased issues of water quality, and rivers, as they were seen in the past, become an environmental hazard rather than an environmental asset, which is what they should be.
There's litter all over this thing, so plastic pollution's a problem as well.
It is a big problem, not only here but everywhere, so we also work in addressing plastic pollution.
We contacted Thames Water today, who told us we're currently designing a solution to reduce blockages and pollution from surface water in the Aldersbrook and River Roding area. Stopping discharges altogether will take time and sustained investment. However, each step we take on this journey is a move in the right direction. And with spills like this, another one filmed by the River Roding Trust, that journey can't get moving soon enough to protect these ecosystems for all our sakes. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
On to the weather, and there's been a little more sunshine out there today. Let's have a look at the forecast now with Aisling Creevey.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello there, and a very good evening to everyone at home. Well, we've already got a fair amount of cloud out there at the moment. There is some sunshine on offer over the next few days. Potentially the best of the sunshine days is tomorrow. It's always going to be quite chilly in that northeasterly breeze, so that's something that's not going to change. And then overall staying dry, so we're still in that dry weather pattern, but it is quite breezy. Now as we head through this evening, we are going to have some cloud continuing to feed in from the northeast, but it stays dry. And the main difference really with tomorrow morning is that there's just some breaks in the cloud already from very first thing, but temperatures still holding up at around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. Now as we head through tomorrow, it is another dry day, but perhaps that cloud breaking up that little bit quicker. Still that fairly brisk northeasterly breeze, but there should be some good spells of sunshine around by the afternoon. And in the sunshine, temperatures getting up to around 20 degrees Celsius. So if you are away from that breeze in some shelter, you will get to feel the strength of that June sunshine. But it is going to stay dry from Friday into Saturday and into Sunday as well. Some good spells of sunshine around. A little more cloud though as we head into the early part of next week, but we are going to hang on to that fairly nagging northeasterly breeze. Good night.
ITV London Weekday Weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
And that is it for now. More news, travel and weather in Good Morning Britain from 6 a.m. For now though, from all of us here on the London team, thank you for watching and good night.